Hey friend, welcome back to Hey Wait. Have you ever noticed you're one version of yourself at work, and another version in love, and another with your friends or your family? Competent, caring, capable, compassionate, and yet not fully yourself in any of it. Because somewhere along the way, you learned how to adapt, and you got good at reading the room to become what was needed to succeed in the context you were in. But it's so easy for adaptation to turn into fragmentation. You can perform every role, but you don't feel integrated inside yourself in any of them. Today's conversation is about what allows a person to move between contexts, leader, lover, creator, parent, without abandoning that through line that is your essential self. My guest is Lily Shepard. In her former life, she danced backup for Beyonce and was an exotic dancer. And now she's a body intelligence expert and movement educator. She's the author of the book Pleasure Principles for Driven Women and the founder of Lily Shepard Moves. Lily absolutely walks her talk while helping women lead from their bodies instead of their minds or their conditioning. In our conversation, we talk about stress responses, inherited roles, embodied presence, and what it actually takes to feel whole and uninhibited in every room you walk into. If you feel like you're successful but not fully expressed, or like you're performing a role rather than being yourself, stay with us because this episode could change how you experience yourself. Last thing.
I just gonna move my shoulders around a little bit,
I know, right?
and I'm ready.
So good to have you, Lily.
It's great to be here.
I'm really excited anytime I can talk to somebody who's another embodiment person because then I can do all the weird things with my body and move around and it's completely normal.
Absolutely. I'm so glad too, because yeah, we do that, right? It's just a natural part of conversation.
Totally, absolutely. And so with that in mind, actually, this is where I wanted to start because you and I have a similar opinion. We've never talked about this before, but um, the opinion is this, that the people who teach embodiment work, somatic stuff, nervous system regulation, the ones that are really legit and good at it are the ones who have had what I call previous lives, where you had another career, where you did something where day in and day out, you actually were in your damn body. And this is your story. You had a previous life, a previous career. And I think it's a huge part of what makes you a legit embodiment somatic practitioner who actually walks your talk. Can
Hmm.
you tell us a little bit about where you came from?
Well, I came from Rochester, New York. I came from a dance background, right? So I've been dancing and moving my body my whole life, since I was 4 years old. And so, but it's a very different way of moving. I was trained to be a performer, which is just a very different way of understanding your body than the way that I work now, right? So I was a professional dancer for many years. I was an exotic dancer for a bunch of those years, and I was a dance mentor to intellectually disabled children and adults.
Mm.
So all of those things informed my work in a different way. They were all about movement and all about the body, but in very different ways from each other.
As you say that, in all those different ways that you are already working with the body, um, I'm just curious, like, what were you also a good student and intellectual, but the body just called you in? Or like, what was it about starting from such a young age, always being in your body? What made you choose that kind of work?
Well, I think at the beginning, right, it was just my mom put me in a little tutu, and as a lot of moms do, and was like, let's see if this works. It was like trying little activities. I mean, I always felt drawn to music. I always as a very small child, liked to move. And so I think she thought, okay, well, let's just try that. But it really stuck. And rhythm and expressing myself, I don't know if I would say I was intellectual, but I've always been like a deep thinker. And I've always liked to read a lot. And for me, I also grew up as an only child, right? And so I have siblings, but they didn't live with me. And so movement always just felt like another way to tell my story and to kind of
Mm.
express the bigger parts of me. I was kind of quiet. I like to stay to myself and read books. And through movement, that was when I like came alive. And it stayed. And I was never the best. I mean, I feel like it's important to say that I've had a wonderful career, and people look at it and say, wow, you've done
Mm.
this and you've danced here and you've been in shows and everything. But it's important to know that I was never like the cream of the crop, higher echelon dancer. It was really my passion for it and my wanting
Yeah.
to work and become technically as good as I can be so that it matched the passion and presence that I always had.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. Like this was your doorway into feeling good and feeling present.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
I feel the same way. I started teaching yoga when I was 19, and I was a backpacking guide and rock climbing guide and all those things. And I think the reason I asked the question was because I was reflecting for me. I think I did those things because they were the only time where I actually felt present.
Mm.
Like I loved reading as well. I loved writing. I loved thinking, but there was something about the way I got to engage with the world. It was a little bit more of mask off, even though it was performative.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned yours were definitely performance in that you were on stage. So was there was there a moment where it shifted, or a time in your life where you went from seeing movement as like, this is me expressing my passion and performing, to this is something that's actually driving connection with my deeper self and healing?
Yeah, I had a what I call it was really like a come to Jesus moment, and I'm not even religious, but it was like
That's when you know it's a big, big.
yeah, it was a big deal. I was I was in the middle, not in the middle, kind of more so in the beginning of my divorce process, and I was trying a bunch of different things to feel better. I remember I was saying affirmations. That was around the time that I got into yoga. I was going to yoga. I went to like a support group. Oh God, that was awful. We sit in the circle and like, I mean, and for some people it works. For me, it did not. And I was just trying all these things I felt lost, and I felt like my sense of self that had always really been strong. I didn't know where I was. And I was in my room and I got this download voice, whatever you want to call it, that was like, just move. And what was interesting about that, because I've told this story before, and people always say, well, of course, because you're a dancer, and of course that was the direction. But the direction was not just dance, it was just move. And
Mm.
it's a really important distinction because I hadn't heard that before.
Mm.
And so I started to move in weird ways that were not dancing. I jumped. I was like rolling around on the floor. I did do some dancing. I remember like I put on a long, long song, right? Of like just, it went into all different kind of genres. It was like almost like pressing shuffle, but it was like one piece of music. And so
Mm.
I just, I went with it. I was twerking. I was rolling on the floor. I was like spinning. I remember putting my arms out and just like spinning in a circle. And I was doing all of these movements, and I didn't look good doing it. I had a full length mirror, and I would catch a glimpse of myself. And, I, in my mind, was like, girl, you look crazy. But it felt so good. It felt
Mm,
so good. And I was like,
mm,
this is what I've been missing. This is how I feel like myself. This is, and the tears came
mhm,
and laughter came. And I felt like, am I having a breakdown? Almost because there was so much emotion that was coming up and out and through. But I felt so good and so grateful. And I was like, oh, this is different. This is
mm,
movement. This is different. This is not 5, 6, 7, 8. This is moving to process and moving to
mm.
heal and moving to understand things. I just felt so much more clear after that little crazy session in my room. And that was the beginning. I was like, okay, I know a lot about movement. I know a lot about the body. How can I take that
Mhm.
into this experience that I just had and help other women find this level of clarity and peace that I found in moving this way?
For the person listening, if you're only listening, you're not watching this on YouTube, when you were telling that story, your body was moving, Lily. And at the end, when you said, you know, as you stopped moving, the gesture you were making was you were clasping your hands together in front of your heart. You just took a deep breath too, even just having that mirror back to you. And your shoulders were soft and your face was soft. And I could imagine that moment. It was like, it's like a coming home to this space in your heart. Like it was a, a moment of actual being there relating to yourself. Does
Yes,
that,
and I
yeah,
I had never experienced that in that way, and for as much dancing, and I had super
yeah,
almost transcendental experiences performing and dancing at parties, and I had really deep connections to my body through movement, but nothing like this before.
yeah, yeah. So I am imagining for someone who does have a background in movement or dance or feels comfortable in their body, they're like, yeah, I get this, or I've done this myself. But I'm also imagining there's a person listening who's like, I would never do that. Like, I just can't even imagine putting on music and letting my body move. So I'm curious, the people you work with, are any of them like that? And if so, what do you tell them?
Yeah, probably 90% are like that. And
Yeah,
that that is the work, right?
yeah,
That is it. And it's just first how we're being perceived, like perception. Even when I got that glimpse of myself in the mirror,
hmm,
I knew I couldn't stay with that because I would stop what I was doing.
hmm,
I was too focused on, as someone who's like made my living looking good doing movement, looking the way that the choreographer says look, having my body the way the director says have it. And now I
hmm,
look at myself and I look like a wild flailing mess. The perception of it is
hmm,
what can stop your flow. And so when I work with women in this way, a lot of the times when we get into movement, we're working one on one, just go. I don't even want to look at you. And it's almost very
hmm.
dramatic. I'm like a little
Just
kid,
right.
right? But I need you to know that
Yeah.
it's not about how you're being perceived right now. And also that starting to move can be intimidating when you don't have that foundation and you're used to literal, like lateral linear movements, like standing up, sitting down, walking. Your box is
Yeah.
so small. So to
Yeah.
kind of branch out of that can feel intimidating. And so
Yeah.
I let my clients know that anything is a movement. We don't have to do a pirouette or a leap or any big grand gesture. Just you taking your hand and doing this,
Mm.
that is a movement. That means something. That's that's a starting point. You can learn something from that. And so really trying to break it down and take the idea of what movement should look like, how you should look doing it, what qualifies as a movement, and kind of break that down and make it a little easier to digest.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me because so many of us have been cultured or trained to be in our heads. So to be able to move your fingers around really is a movement because it attracts your attention to, oh, I have a hand. I exist from my neck down. And I would imagine, you know, knowing a little bit about your work, so much of this is about giving a person an experience of being in a body. And then from there, like, how do you typically hold yourself? And because I know a lot of what you teach about in your work is something that I think is such an important conversation, and it's fairly rare. I don't know a lot of people talking about it, at least in an embodiment way, which is fragmentation. Like the
Mm.
way that we have different roles that we inhabit, and that we show up differently in each one. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm on my own journey with that as well. And some of the language even that I realize that I'm done with, and it's language that I've used in the past, right? Is like the version of you that
Mm.
does X, Y, or Z. Become the version of yourself that,
Mm.
walks in and and you know what? I'm fucking done being versions. I am who I am, and I have different interests, different passions, different things that I like to do, different friend groups, different multidimensional. But this idea, because a version is an adaptation in a sense. And
Mhm.
so the idea that I have to be an adaptation, like what am I adapting to and why? Why can't I just be in these different roles? Like why? And this comes from my own thinking about, okay, and talking to so many women who are saying that, but don't wouldn't call it fragmentation, that don't have the language for that, but it's like, wow, I'm at work and I am powerful and I'm moving and I'm commanding and people respect me and I'm doing these things and I have a team that reports to me and I have this, and then I go home and it's hard for me to shift into partner mode and into mother nurture
Mm.
mode and into a little softer mode, and then going into, for instance, I don't know, a PTA mode where there's other moms, and now I'm kind of comparing myself to these women, and always kind of negotiating with your own presence in different
Mm.
places. It's very exhausting. It's
Mhm.
very, very exhausting to feel like you're essentially performing boss, performing wife, performing mom, performing community member, performing caretaker. And it's like, well, where am I in that? Where is the me that is underneath all of it?
Yeah.
And it's a hard question to answer. I think I know that I've had that conversation and really check myself of
Yeah.
where am I performing and why, and what is
Hmm.
it costing me to have to navigate in these different roles, right? What, maybe that's why my damn back hurts so much. Maybe that's why I can't sleep through the night. Maybe that's why my chest feels tight. Like, because we don't account for that. It's just par for the course. We're in our lives. I'm doing
Right.
this and then I'm doing that and then I'm over here. And you don't really stop and think about the cost to your body.
Yeah. Well, and the cost to your relationships, the cost to your sense of self, all of that is the challenge with that fragmentation, that you can't switch from one role to another. Meaning, like what you said, I'm at work, I'm a boss, I hold power, people respect me, and then I come home and I'm kind of stuck in that mode, or I can't get into the softer, kind of loving, caring energy. So is the issue that you get stuck in them, or is the issue that there is not a sense of a through line of selfhood in them, or is it both?
That's a great question. I think it's more so the sense of the through line
Mm,
of my innate being and the energy that I bring that just is everywhere in every situation kind of can get lost in the who I have to be in this situation and to function
mm,
as this. So I
mhm,
think because we do play different roles, that's a part of life. And yes, I do need different energy, to be a caretaker to my aging parents than I do to lead a mastermind. It just is what it is, right? But I think the work is in really affirming and fortifying the through line so that
mhm,
it doesn't feel like such a big transition each and every day as we move through all of these different roles, and having
mm.
practices that can support that, and instead of the expectation that it just happens naturally when we walk through the door.
Yes, got it. Right. So there is a stuckness, and yet the fluidity comes from the ability to be fluid in those roles comes from having the touch in, the knowing of where that essential self is in each one of them. Is that what you're
Hmm.
saying?
Yep. Yep, you said it very well. Knowing where that essential self is and how to connect, because I think it's very it's a lot to ask of us to just identify that and immediately embody it simply by arriving, right? So even if it's just
Hmm.
a check-in, or it's just an acknowledgement of, okay, I was there, I'm now here, even that alone. But it's
Mm,
like when we're on this autopilot cycle and we don't really even arrive anywhere fully because we're always bringing where we
yeah.
were with us into the new space, you don't get that. And so giving yourself a little moment, just a brief
Yeah.
moment of acknowledging the shift, really helps a lot.
Yeah. I was thinking as you were saying that when I was a little girl, my mom worked nights, she was a nurse, and my dad worked days. And so they really only kind of crossed paths in the evening when my dad got home from work. And there every single day, my dad would come in from work, he would change his clothes, he put on his walking shoes, and they would immediately go out the door and take a walk for an hour. And that was their transition point of now he's coming home and she's getting ready for work. And I look back now and think, gosh, that was so intelligent to create a space where there was a ritual for them that was like we're shifting the roles we're playing now. And that obviously took longer than that, but there are so many ways. Like now I notice for me, I had to start saying to myself at the end of the day, because I work from home, I had to start saying when I close my computer at the end of the day and leave my office, I am done working. And I'll shake my body, or I'll do a like big and make the acknowledgement that I don't need to be in that anymore. And if I don't do that, I can stay spun up and hard. Like, as you know, as I'm making dinner, I'm curt, I'm still stressed, I'm still thinking about things. So I love this invitation to find the ways, even if it's just a name to yourself, I am changing locations. I am
Mm-hmm.
changing
Mm-hmm.
my way of relating.
Yeah, and there are so many ways. Music always works really well for
Mm.
me. Like listening to the same piece of music is kind of like a signal when I'm on my
Oh,
way home. Um, there are things of like even when I come home or like changing my clothes right away. Like I have my house clothes. Like I'm not coming in with everything that I had on. I'm
yeah.
immediately, my husband laughs at me because he's like, I've never seen someone transform as fast as you do. Because as soon as I'm like done out peopling, it's immediately I want that comfort of like, I
Yeah.
am home now. Right. And so there are
Yeah.
so many things, a certain candle that you light, that just anything to acknowledge and signify a transition is, it really goes a long way.
When you say that, and again, the movement of your body, the word that comes up for me is pleasure. Like being able to experience, if you're not at work, and even at work, you should have some playfulness and enjoyment there. But I watched you just embody what it looks like to put on something that's soft, and to hear something that creates a sense of being alive or at home. And pleasure is a huge part of really what you're saying is this is all about, right?
Yes. Yes. And we can have it. I'm about to get on a soapbox right now
Do
because
it.
it's just this thing that no one tells us we have the right to have just because we are. It's like there's always this goalpost that's moving as far as what has to be done and what has to be accomplished and who we have to be worthy of pleasure and joy, and the systems that we exist in mirror that back to us, right? Of like, okay, this capitalist society, everything is so fast and everything is so monetized. And who are you to get to enjoy your life before you have X amount of dollars in the bank, X amount of dollars saved, before you have the house that you want, before you've got, I mean, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And that we all, most of us subscribe to it because there's not really many voices. There's a lot of voices that can tell you how to optimize and how to get your morning routine together and how
Oh my
to use
God.
AI to
Optimize.
speed everything up and make your life better and
Yeah.
faster and make more money. But no one is really speaking about what are we here for? To enjoy our lives. And we get to do that. And it doesn't have to be a huge undertaking because we also see, in my experience, the people that I do see talking about it, they're like so far on the other side of the spectrum, right? Of like, well, do you have a job? Like,
Like
do
hedonism and right,
right, like,
right.
do you work or are
Yeah.
you just on a yacht and with champagne flowing
Right.
and we're living soft girl life and like, okay, because that's not real, right?
No.
And so it goes so far on the other end, but there are so many ways to find small moments of joy and pleasure that really those are the things that can ground you in the everyday. I have a friend that has a fuzzy steering wheel cover, and I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. I we are in Austin, Texas. I'm like, does that not get hot? Like, how do you are your hands not sweaty? But it is, she loves it so much. The feeling of this, her soft steering wheel. It's not even a luxury car. It's her
Right.
car that
Yeah.
she's in, that she shuffles kids around to, that she goes to her job in, and it makes her feel fabulous to have it. And I love that for her because it's like, yes, that thing, have it. That little moment where
Yeah.
you can have your coffee quietly, have it. It's really the small moments. It doesn't have to be a freaking all expense paid trip to wherever and a retreat in
I mean,
Bali
I'll
and
take it if you give it to me, but
every day, all day. I will take it. But the idea, right, that
yeah.
it has to be that that's pleasure and it's not really considered it unless it's this big grand thing.
Right, and it makes me think of Deb Dana's work with polyvagal theory and how she talks about glimmers. Like
Mm,
find the glimmers in your life, and those are the things that make you feel good. Like I always love to have fresh cut flowers around. That's luxury to me. That's pleasure, and it's about how it hits your nervous system, right? It's about
yes,
like the fact that if we're dysregulated, if we're um activated in this fight flight fawn, you can't be curious there, you can't be playful there, you don't really experience pleasure there. Pleasure really is relegated to the realm of I'm okay, I'm safe.
exactly. You must. It's a prerequisite. How
Yeah.
can you enjoy if there's no safety there? And so seeing that as a necessity, not something frivolous that like I've had this conversation with many clients of mine, and they all, they most have some type of feeling messaging around it being a frivolous is not a need, right? Well, I could get fresh
Yeah.
flowers, but I have to stop and pick them up, and then they're gonna like it becomes a frivolous thing. Oh, I do really like this silk, but I'm not going to be walking around my thing in a silk robe. Like there's a way in which women can downplay and find every reason not to do these small actions that make them feel really good because of perception. I don't want to be seen as, or even a demandingness, right? I
Yeah.
spoke with a woman that I'm close to, and she was telling me that same like you, she loves fresh cut flowers, um, and that she's a single person dating, and that she got a remark that a man that she let into her space made a remark of, "Oh well, something effective. Do you have to expect me to bring you flowers every like there was
Yeah.
a standard, right? Like there, like
By the
excuse
way,
me,
we won't
what?"
be having another date and they like
Exactly. But it's that kind of
yeah.
thing of like when people notice something that
Yeah.
you do for yourself with your
Yeah.
money, people have an opinion on it, or people want to judge it, or something. And it's like,
Well,
no, yeah, I'm
th-
allowed to do what makes me feel safe and good in my body and
yeah.
in my space. Period. End of story.
This is gonna sound super dorky, but right before we hopped on to do this, I was thinking about your book, Pleasure Principles for Driven Women, and the word pleasure was sticking out, and I was like, I wonder, you know, a lot of people talk about joy, and so I Googled like a dumbass, what's the difference between pleasure and joy? And the answer kind of gave me a yucky taste in my mouth because essentially it was saying pleasure is is external, it's made by external things, it's temporary, it's transient, it's a dopamine hit, and joy is this intrinsic permanent state that you get to be in. And I got kind of pissed and I was like, that just makes it sound like it's shitty and that none of us should want it.
Exactly. Exactly. It makes it feel like there's some kind of moral issue
Yeah.
with desiring to have it.
Yeah.
It's funny because even with the book, right, using the word pleasure has so much connotations, and it was like, oh my God, pleasure is this about
Is it about
sex?
sex? Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
And people identify pleasure with sex, and then also pleasure as, like you were saying, this kind of external, fleeting hit of dopamine that doesn't really mean anything in the long term sense of our lives. And I just do not resonate with that. And I went even harder on, no, the book has to have pleasure in the title, because
Yeah.
we need to kind of take all of that off of the word. There are so many people that are embarrassed to even, the word is embarrassing for them to even say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you're like you got a double whammy here because your your book has pleasure in the title and you're asking people to move their bodies. It's like this is not mainstream, which is so whack that it's not mainstream. I don't understand. I was again Googling something the other day about embodiment and it was like 2026 embodiment is huge and I was like, what? Like people have been teaching this stuff for forever. And it's just not part of the culture though of really understanding that I say this to my clients all the time. The things that you think you're going to get from mindfulness, you actually get from embodiment, right? Like it's not that mindfulness is bad. It's just that we don't I mean, it's full of mind, right? Like let's talk about what it's like to be a fully integrated person who can feel yourself when you're walking around in public with your eyes open, interacting with other people. And I think this is the thing that makes me so excited about your work is that you really do give a lot of super boots on the ground practices to people to help them experience being a person in a body.
Thank you for saying that, because sometimes I feel like this work can, there's a perception of it's like so woo and so kind of floaty, and embodiment. I mean, if you Google embodiment, you're going to likely see a thin, blonde, able bodied
Mhm.
woman, usually in a big hat. She might be, you know,
The
in a
floppy hatters, that's what I
the
call.
floppy hat. Yes, she might be, you know, in some kind of beautiful, luxurious background. And she's like open and free and frolicking. And that just feels not
Yeah,
accessible for people.
no. And it's
Um,
not what
and
it is.
exactly, exactly. And so when I really, part of my passion and what I feel like is my purpose is to make those things boots on the ground accessible. This is
Mhm.
really what it is. You don't have to, you know, frolic in a field to get to this. You don't have to go to a yoga studio to get to this. You don't, these are things
Yeah,
that you can practice and do on your own. And the impact on your life is so great, because the systems that we live in don't want to see us
mhm.
embodied, right? Because then how can we be good consumers? You know, like how can we keep the
Totally.
machine working? It's like when you have an understanding of your body and you feel 100% in it, you're less available for being overworked, for, you
Yes.
know, eating the food with all of the crap in it, for, you know, there's certain things that once you develop that relationship with your body, you become a little bit more protective of
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
how you want to take care of it.
Yeah. Um, is there a particular exercise or practice that you would want to share with the person listening? Like you had mentioned the what's blocking your magnetic presence. Is this a good
Mm,
point for that?
yeah. Wow. That's, I developed this quiz because that question would always come up in my work, of clients saying like, I feel like I have my shit together. Like I look good, I am competent, I have the titles, but like I'm not being felt. People are
Mm,
not feeling me, right? People are not leaning in. People, I can sense this, and why is that? So developing the magnetic presence kind of is a tool to get people to see like where they might be blocking that they're unaware of. I was a person that would constantly, my tension is always in my eyebrows. And like so I would just, and that doesn't look inviting, you know what I mean? And it had nothing to do with anything. But when I realized, why am I doing that? Because who's here, right? Like,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
here? Is this okay? Like, I
Hypervigilant.
don't, exactly, exactly. So getting to a point of safety for myself and knowing what I need to do, and a practice that I use and that I can share is arriving, right? We talked about that a little bit in the fragmentation, but making sure that I'm really arriving into any space that I'm coming into, instead of coming in harried and I got my stuff and I'm walking, okay, here I am. No, like I need to take a moment
Mm,
when I enter a space. I need to look around, and this is like 30 seconds. I'm doing it slowly, but it really takes all of 30 seconds. I just need to look around, find something that I see, connect with that thing. I press my palms together.
mm,
I'm here now.
mm.
That's it. And part of that is not caring who sees me do it, right? Because that's a thing. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I'm looking around and people think I don't know where I am. Oh, I'm taking a breath. I'm saying I'm here.
Oh,
It's so
do it.
much, right? But it's very, it helps me arrive fully, make a point of like, okay, this is where I am. There's something that I can identify here. And it's just a quick, like, I'm here now.
It looks like when you do it, it's like I watched all of your energy catch up to you. It's like all the disparate parts of yourself energetically just have a moment to catch up with you. And even again, just saying it, you take a deep breath, just even imagining that imagery of I'm pausing long enough for all the parts of me to catch up. You
Yeah.
get yourself back.
Yeah. Before you start
Love that.
dispersing all that energy and giving it to whoever's in the space that you're coming into,
Yeah.
work, family, home, all of the people. But it's just, I'm here.
So there's another practice that I have to ask you about because so many of the people who listen to this podcast I know are fawners, and you recently wrote about your full stop practice. And
Mm,
I would love it if you shared this with the person listening because I think it's so fucking powerful.
yeah. Full stop is really, it's a practice. You're essentially practicing how to say the thing, period.
Mm.
I don't want to go to the event. I'm not coming.
Sorry. Sorry. That's what normally happens in that moment.
Right.
And then someone
Well,
goes,
because
but
I
I'm really
have
sorry.
to,
Yeah.
right. Well, it's
You
because
just keep
I have
talking.
this thing and I have to go there, but like letting it sit, and then you can play with your tone, right? You don't have to sound like a brat. I'm not going, I don't want to. How what is your tone like? What is your body like when you say it? I don't want to go to the event. I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Without filling space, without, right? Because that's what happens. We rush to fill that space if someone doesn't immediately respond. But by yourself, when there is no one present,
Hmm.
you can kind of feel what is coming up for you when you
If
do
you
that.
if you
And
just add the period.
if you just add the period and allow yourself to be with that for a moment.
Yeah. Because the person who is used to being the fawner will keep talking until you feel like there's connection. So if I just say to you, Lily, I actually can't come to your party on Friday night, and I sense, oh no, Lily's going to be upset, I'm going to keep talking until I get a sense that you are are happy, you're okay, you've forgiven me, as opposed to Lily, I'm really sorry, but I can't make it on Friday. And then letting myself feel, like you said, whatever the feelings are that come up, but also feel my feet on the ground, feel that my breath
Hmm.
is moving, feel that you get to have your experience of whatever it is I said, and it doesn't mean that I have to change what I said.
Absolutely. It's really powerful. And yeah, it's really powerful. I'll leave it at that because
Yeah.
it takes practice. We have so much work around boundaries and start, set your boundaries and protect your boundaries. But if you've never done that, and if your experience has
Yeah.
always been to placate or make someone feel okay, the idea that you're just going to walk into a situation and set a
Mhm.
boundary and feel okay about it, and then not only that, like set the boundary but hold the boundary, that's asking way too much.
Yeah.
You have to feel comfortable first before even another person enters the picture.
Yeah. I love that. Practice saying it out loud to yourself. And I often will have clients um, do this in a session where I'll have them say something that's just an actual fact, like what town do you live in? Right? I live in Ojai, California. And feel what it feels like to say that in your body. And then have them say another sentence that feels edgy for them and to practice saying them both back and forth until you can say, I live in Ojai, California, the same way that you can say, I'm not going to go to Lily's gathering on Friday. And
Mhm.
like, that's that boots on the ground again of like, this is you feeling in your body the momentary parts of your day that add up to creating this frantic, fragmented aspect of yourself, as opposed to being able to just stay, not just, let me erase that word, being able to stay in the through line of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you explain that because that's what it is, like staying in that through line. Things take us here and there and back and forth, and developing practices that can, I mean, first finding the through line, right? Like, where is it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of work to do around that. If
Yeah.
in life, of if you've been operating in a sense where you don't even have that awareness, it's like, well, where am I in all of this? Where is my through line? Let me
Mm.
actually uncover where that is. And it's such a beautiful thing to find. It's such a beautiful thing to find. This is who I am. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when I navigate the world, how do I keep that through line intact? And that's what we're
Mhm.
talking about now. So it's like a two-part
Mm.
thing, and it's ongoing. It
Yes.
doesn't ever end. I get so sick of seeing these things of I'm going to do this in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And I'm like, I get that people love a quick win, right? And there are
Yeah.
some things that can be done, right? But a starting point, but this actual work of identifying your through line and
Yeah.
being able to keep it intact through all of the things that you go
Yeah.
through in a lifetime, that's not, that's forever.
No, I think of it as the nervous system. Like it is completely unreasonable to think you're always going to be regulated. We go into activation and deactivation for reasons. It's just don't get stuck there. Come back. And I feel like that's the same way with these different, the different roles or the fragmenting from yourself. You're gonna keep doing that. But how quickly can you come back? How reliably can you come back? And how long can you stay when you do get back to that essential self is the point,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
And this is what your book is all about. So I want to plug your book really quick, The Pleasure Principles for Driven Women. I don't have my copy here. It's a long story, but um, where can people find more about you? And was there something that you wanted to offer around your book?
Yes. So the book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, where books are sold. But I definitely do want to offer an audio book to the
Oh,
first
cool.
three people who reach out. Here's the thing. I want people to just reach out. This is not about reach out so you can
Yeah.
join my this or my that or my whatever. I'm always curious in what is resonant. What in
Hmm.
this conversation were you able to take something from, do something with? Was there something illuminated? I love hearing that. And I would like to offer the audiobook as a just continuation of the conversation, right?
Yeah,
So, and I'm not sure my information and everything will likely be in the show notes, but
absolutely.
um, yeah, reach out. I would love to just to start a conversation and to send you the book because it's awesome. I mean, I will say so myself. And it's a quick read, right? It's a small book. It's not meant to be this thing that you have to keep
Yeah.
bookmarking and coming back to. It's something that you can digest and then kind of keep with you as somewhat of like almost a handbook to refer to.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I highly recommend to the person listening that you do follow Lily. I was saying to her earlier, her Instagram is so good. If you're on Instagram, um, she just has these wonderful touch points for you throughout your. Every time I see something of yours come up, I automatically take a deeper breath and I feel like I want to put on music and dance. I really like there's just something about your embodiment in the world that I mean, I guess that's what it is, right? If you're around someone who can feel themselves, you can feel them and you can feel yourself as well. And so I just want to thank you for being being someone who's like that because it makes interviewing you so much more fun because I can feel you and it helps me just be here and I hope the person listening got to feel that as well.
That is the highest compliment. I'm like, that is such a high compliment, Jay. Thank you. I receive all of that 100%.
I know you have to go, but I have one last question for you, and this is the question I ask everyone in the end, and it's about we've been talking about finding that through line with yourself. But my curiosity is, do you have a particular practice that you do in real time when you're with other people to stay with yourself?
I do. And it's similar to the arrival practice
Hmm.
that I was sharing. But for me, when I'm with other people and a few things happen. I can feel myself losing focus. I'm like off in my head somewhere. I'm not present with the people that I'm with, or I feel myself starting to shrink back and not be my full self. It's really, I mean, I have it right now, but I
Yeah.
carry this
So,
with me and I
oh, that's
need to just,
beautiful.
it's so smooth and so soft and
It's
it's
a
with
stone
me.
for those of
It's
you
a
who can't see
stone.
it. She's
It's
holding a stone.
beautiful. It's like mahogany colored
Yeah.
and I press it into my palm
Mm.
and no one even knows, right? It's like I'm
Mhm.
here and I just okay, and I slide it back into my pocket. It's just like that little
I'm
bit of
here.
having an object, right, also helps. And man, this thing has been to different countries. I've freaked out over thinking but what is it really? Even if I do lose it, it's like it's the thing that serves the purpose, but it's been through so many
Yeah,
situations and things
that
with
it's
me. Yes, that is special and close to my heart, but I know when I feel that I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to need to kind of come back.
mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's comforting. I'm like Linus with the blanket. It's like I have
Yeah.
my
Own
little
it.
thing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think that's so important for the person listening is there like she held her stone up and I was like, "Oh, look, here's my stone." I always hold something in my hand when I'm doing an interview like this or when I'm with a client. It's that sense of it just reminds me I'm here too. Just because there's someone else around doesn't mean I disappear. And so finding whatever it is you can tuck away in your pocket and take with you. It's like the worry stone, that people talk about, but this is more about the presence stone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just feeling something there. Yeah, I don't have to disappear. I'm here as well. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that you busted out your stone too.
It's here.
Yeah, because no one
Um,
ever asked me, and people ask me about it those when I'm out and I see it. Because at times, like I'll do this, and then maybe I'll put it on the table or something, and then it becomes a whole topic of conversation.
well, you're not the only weirdo here
Thank
with your
you.
stone. Thank you for all of your very boots on the ground practical tips, and thank you for your movement and your presence. And it was an absolute delight to have you, Lily.
Thank you. It was a delight on my end as well, Jay.
Thank you so much, listener, for being here today. I hope something resonated with you and helps you to have a good experience of yourself in your life and your relationships, because you really do deserve that. And if someone came to mind while you were listening today, could you take a moment and share this episode with them right now? And if you haven't had a chance to yet, please leave a review for Hey Wait, because both of those things help new people find the show. And it means a lot to me to be able to reach and connect with new people around this work. With that, if you have an idea for a guest or a topic, or you have a question for me, feel free to reach out to me at Hey Wait with Jay on Instagram. Hey Wait is produced by Viv at First Click VA, and the original music is by Dalton Grant. And hey wait, before we go, I want you to remember, your insides matter, and the right people will meet you there. So stay with yourself. And I'll see you next time.